What's going on, guys? I finally got my Walter Becker of Steely Dan's stuff from the Julien's auction that happened about a month ago. I've been alluding to this in the last couple of videos I had done. He had about 1,000 pieces of gear that his estate auctioned off, and I flipped through the catalog and just saw some really incredible stuff that I wanted to bid on, and luckily enough, I got 4 pieces. So wanted to just walk you through what I got, walk you through the process of the auction and what it cost me, because there is a buyer's premium that you guys will be paying. Plus, you have to then ship it to you. So what you think could be a great deal may not be by the time you add all the shipping and premiums to this. I got 4 pieces from the estate sale, and I'll read through those here real quick for you. I got a Danelectro Twin 12 Series F combo amp. That was the first item I bid on. It had an estimated range, I think, between 600 and 800. I paid 400 for it. It was a $112 buyer premium. So the buyer's premium is what goes to the auction house. I was also online. There was another 3%. So close to like a 30% upcharge. But that amp on Reverb and on other sites goes for about $1,000. So in total, I paid about $512. It's not a bad deal. I've played with it. That was one of the amps you'll hear coming up. That was the first amp I bid on. Was pretty happy. I looked through all the stuff, and he had a lot of Warmoth Parts Casters guitars. But the one thing that I knew that I really wanted to get into was all the sort of secondary amps that he had. He had an incredible collection of amps, and essentially you're going to be flooding the market with a bunch of vintage gear, and not everyone is as versed as they need to be when they're buying stuff. And I just picked up, I think, 2 awesome deals. One I overpaid for, and this Danelectro I think is sort of a wash. I know it was a deal, but I don't know how I'm actually going to play with that one. The second amp I bid on was a Gibson GA-5 amp. This is a vintage one. I don't remember the exact date of it. I got to still pull that out. I've had one of these amps, and they are outstanding. It's a single volume and flip-on switch. That's it. It's a incredible amp. I had one of the Gibson reissues a couple of years ago. It's got an awesome breakup tone. It's just a great amp. It's got the original Jensen speaker. He had a ton of these in the auction, and I knew I could get one relatively cheap. I paid $450. Buyer's premium was $126 for $576. These can go anywhere from, $500 to $800. So I felt like that was a pretty good deal. I've been on the lookout for one of these anyways. So the other thing I wanted to get was a Fender Champ, a little Fender Champ amp. Those went for a little bit more than what I wanted to pay. But this one I felt like I got a pretty decent deal. And then the highlight of the auction for me was a Vox AC30 6TB. This is a hand-wired, made in England amp with greenback Celestion speakers. This is my third AC30. I paid $800. Buyer's premium was $224 for a grand total of $1,024. For a $3,000 to $4,000 amp. That was the best deal. I've played with it. I unpacked it. I even found a bank receipt in the back of it from Walter as well. And that was the steal of the auction by far. I'm really happy with that amp. It'll be my main go-to amp now for a while. I've got my Mesa Boogie Heartbreaker, and then this will be up here. It fits right under my desk. It's perfect. And then the one mistake that I had was on Saturday, I got back onto the auction. Those were the first 3 items were all bought on Friday. I thought I got a pretty good deal. I'm not sure everyone was watching what was happening. I bought a Orange Dark Terror for $700 with the buyer's premium of $200 for a $900 total. Those amps go for like $4 to $6. So that's probably the one I overpaid for, and that's probably the one I was the most surprised by. I knew what it was. I played with them years ago when they came out. But it's just like a thrashing amp, and it sounds awesome. So I overpaid for it, but it's cool. The stuff came to me via DHL, shipped via air, which I was actually pretty happy about. I paid $600 for that. When I won the auction, they were saying it was going to take anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks to ship out to me, which I was really kind of miffed at that point, having spent $3,000 on stuff. But I got the shipping quote, and Art Pack in LA packed it up and shipped it out to me. They put it in a custom shipping container. You can see that here. Guy dropped it off, and then I started unpacking it, and it was packed awesome. And then the fact that I didn't have a bunch of tube amps go back across the country was outstanding. So I was really happy with the auction, was really happy with the way it was packed up, and then got it. And now I've got, a bunch of stuff I can play with here and screw around. You can hear the sound clips coming through here, but getting on these auctions is pretty fun. Julien's is probably one of the better known places to do this. There are other auction houses as well that you can follow. There was no qualification to these bids, which was great. So I did enter my credit card and my driver's license, but then I could bid onto stuff. He had an amazing amount of gear. The Friday stuff I thought went for a better deal than the Saturday stuff. I thought people were way overpaying for Warmoth parts casters. There were at least 30 to 40 Warmoth parts casters that I watched go for $2,500, $3,000, which kind of blew my mind. I was like, those are literally guitars you can get from Warmoth. And I guess at one point he was parting guitars together with someone because it was sort of some sort of project he was working on. But I'm not really sure why those went for the price point that they did. The amps are, I guess, rarer and more vintagey to some degree. Guitars, I just didn't get that. He did have a Black Beauty that I was so close on purchasing. He had a 70 Les Paul Black Beauty custom, and that was the one I almost bid on. It was at $5,000, and with a 25% buyer's premium, $7,000 may have been a little bit too much to pay for it, but I was really close on pulling the trigger on that. And then he had a Gibson Switchmaster that I really wanted, but that one went to $10,000, and I'm not ready to spend that much on a guitar. So when you find gear and guys that are doing these auctions, the big thing is to go through the catalog early, find the gear that and has some value to you, let alone the guy's name. I have to admit, I'm not the hugest Walter Becker, Steely Dan fan in the sense like of following everything and bought all their CDs, but he did have a Masco amp as the first thing in the auction, and I knew right away if he had been buying those amps and sort of reparting them and retooling them out, he really knew his stuff, and he did. The amps that he had, the collections were amazing. I bid on a lot of stuff, and this is what I came away with. So we'll give you the sound clips of the amps now, and I may sell one of them. I'm not so sure what I'll do with all this stuff. The Vox for sure is mine, and then the Gibson little amp is going to be in the basement. So those for sure are mine. I may sell the Dark Terror. I don't know. And I'll probably sell the Dano. I don't know. The Trem. I mean, I've got the Trem on the AC30 already. So I don't know if I need it, but we'll sit on it for a while. That's my set of amps from the Walter Becker Steely Dan auction from Julien's. Really happy with the service. Once I figured out how to do the bidding and everything, I was pretty happy with all this stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.